You can go to the Indy 500, you can go to the Daytona 500, you go to Monaco, and each event has its own life. But Le Mans is so special. It's so special that people have to come here. It's very difficult to describe Le Mans to people that haven't seen it. So the Spirit of Le Mans, and to receive the Spirit of Le Mans award, it doesn't get any better.
Things are looking good at Nasamax too. The first running of the renewably fueled car in a major endurance race is moving closer to reality. Interest in the car and in its clean green fuel has been significant.
I'm staggered. I mean, and it's very, very pleasing to see the public take it on board so well. I've been listening to Radio Le Mans. That's all very encouraging. We've had lots and lots and lots of interest from the press, so yeah, couldn't be happier really.
The Nasamax experiment forms part of an ongoing commitment to new technology on the part of the ACO.
We are constantly in touch with the teams, and it really didn't come as any great surprise to us. We love to see technical innovations, and as far as we're able to, we try to accommodate cars using new technology.
The reason the car is so effective in fighting air pollution is that ethanol contains 35% of oxygen. Adding oxygen to fuel produces better combustion, reducing exhaust emissions. At Le Mans, however, it's the air temperature that's causing a headache.
It's purely air density. I mean, as the temperature goes up, the air density goes down. It affects us rather more than it would a gasoline car, and we just lose turbo performance, basically. So we end up with a lot of lag, which gets delays out of the corner, which just slows you down, really. I mean, that's the only way to say it. As the air temperature drops, the performance starts to pick up. It's virtually imperceptible, but the difference between 20 degrees and 27 degrees is quite major.
The car's Cosworth engine develops around 550 brake horsepower, but that's about 40 brake down on the Audis. Drivers Romain Dumas, Werner Luckberger and Robbie Sterling nevertheless are impressed.
It's very good on the straights. The weak point with the car at the moment is because it has a very small power band. It's the acceleration. It loses out on the acceleration out of the corners. But once it's on the straight, at 310 k's isn't a problem. Aerodynamically, it's very well balanced. And if the car can do 310 k's, you know, if it accelerated a little bit harder at the beginning, it'd be up to 320 without a problem. And that's very competitive with a car that's running on a different fuel.
From one green car to another, on Friday afternoon, Bentley entertained the press in perhaps the hottest tent in the paddock, hotter even than the cockpits of their own car. But the warmth between the drivers was genuine enough.
Performance attached to it. I've been asked to bring out my English accent, so... I'm not very good at it. No. Oh, fair go.
With retiring ACO President Michel Cosson cutting the cake marking the 80th anniversary of the race and Bentley's participation in it, there could be no doubting the significance of the occasion. With a new car and nearing the end of a 3-year development programme, it was time for the English mark to deliver.
We've got the car to get the job done. I mean, in performance terms, we're as quick as anybody, if not quicker, by what we've done in qualifying already with the front row. The issue will be what we can do in terms of lap time versus the amount of laps we run compared to the rest of the guys out there. But as I say, the biggest issue will be luck. You know, you only need to step over somebody in the wrong part of the circuit, a much slower car, or they lose it in front of you, or you make a mistake. It all happens, and that's the end of your 24 hours.
And with all those question marks, including over their tyres, winning would be no piece of cake.
With the narrow rear tyre with the Bentleys the last couple of years, that's the biggest thing. They haven't been able to triple stint, and the rear tyres, they go away. With the testing that we've done and the development that Michelin have done, it's we're very pleased with our tyres. I don't think it'd be a problem triple stinting.
So would the latter-day Bentley boys be joining their famous namesakes on the podium come 4 o'clock on Sunday? In short, would it rain on their parade? It's Saturday morning, and the howl of 49 cars on their race morning warm-up is probably not the best cure for a hangover. A shower and a cooked breakfast, though, well, that's a different matter. Some 250,000 spectators converge on Le Mans every year for race weekend. Many hardcore race fans, but a significant proportion of the kind of people who just enjoy the sort of spectacle that only Le Mans can provide. This year provided the usual melting pot of languages, attire and allegiances. And after one or two early morning rain showers around the course on race day, there's an extra treat for the Le Mans faithful. A Legends event featuring the cars that raced at Le Mans between 1959 and 1971. That meant everything from MGAs to Porsche 917s, and drivers like young professionals through to retired world champion Phil Hill on a very rare race outing. But these were serious race cars going to race very hard for 1 hour in front of an enthralled crowd. And as the green light shows, Lola T70s, Ferrari 512s, the Ligier with the Cosworth engine, Ford GT40s, Chevrons, Porsche 917s and Cobras, all mixing it in together in a great wall of noise, and a different sort of noise to the modern race cars. Blasts across the line, Hale's trying very hard in pop star Nick Mason's Ferrari 512S, an extremely rare car. In their day, of course, the cars did not take this right-left section, only installed in the year 2002 to slow the cars down before they come to the Mulsanne straight. But this section's the same as it always was, with the Ferrari just in front of the Ligier and the two Lola T70s as they blast onto the Mulsanne straight, with a problem there. One of the GT40s nearly caught out. Down from Indianapolis to Arnage, Willie Green extremely brave there in the yellow and green Ligier Cosworth, right up behind Mark Hales' tail. That 512S is a 1970 car, Willie Green's car from 1971, but side by side this is proper spectacular racing, as these two well-known exponents of historic motorsport happy to put these incredibly valuable machines side by side through one of the fastest sections of one of the most daunting racetracks in the world. These cars, of course, run in every condition as they did in their day. The tyres are new, but they're not meant to be of any newer compound than was current in its day. Hale's just a little quicker there through that section than Green, closing him down, but sadly troubled early on. Phil Hill's car, the little Alfa Romeo number 88, was not to last very long. Side by side again, the Ligier and the Ferrari blasting away. Hale's checking his mirror, seeing if it's safe to move over, and it is. He's just got his nose in front. Whilst the two Lola T70s of Schleifer and Jones battle it out. Here's a great sight. Jackie Oliver, winner of this race in 1969, jumps into the car he drove in those days, a Gulf Ford GT40, to return to the track. A similarly Gulf-liveried Chevron B16, however, embedded in the gravel. Mark Hales and Willie Green still hard at it. These cars being pushed to their absolute limits, to the enthrallment of the spectators. Cars of all sizes. A Lotus 11 here, and an elegant little Alpine Renault from 1968, but sadly Schleifer's Lola T70 has terminal engine troubles. And Mark Hales, also unhappy, levers himself out of the car before his co-driver has a chance to take over. Problems with the Ferrari's gearbox means an end of an impressive run. The little Chevron did get out of the gravel and is now battling with the GT40, coming into the first chicane on the Mulsanne straight. In the pits, Willie Green in the Ligier has to make his compulsory stop. And there's Mark Hales, now retired, leaning across to tell Willie Green to slow down. Not everybody running as reliably as that, however. Unfortunately, the Sunbeam Tiger, one of the actual ex-Works cars, overheated badly, and a huge slide there for the Jones-Amy Lola T70. Car number 2, a terrifying moment, but he's collected it all up and carries on his way. Not so, however, former winner Jackie Oliver, who plants car number 4, GT40, in the gravel on the outside at the beginning of the start-finish straight. Very embarrassing. Craig Jones and Nick Amy in their blue and silver T70 making a great recovery, but Willie Green leading effortlessly and lapping a beautiful selection of cars down through the field. Some people getting a little overexcited there. That's Chris Clarkson and Bob Pepper in their Austin Healey 3000, backing it into the gravel, but no harm done. A quick "what are you doing" wave from the man in the MGA. Willie Green by this stage, as the pace cars got ready to signal the end of the race, Green beginning to think that he didn't have any opposition. But what he didn't know was that Michel Quigneau and Steve Hitchens in their little red and white Chevron B16 were closing extremely fast. And he suddenly looks in his mirror, sees them turn their headlights on and thinks, I better get a move on here. Just manages to outbrake them into the final chicane and slips up towards the start-finish line. A very chastened Willie Green, so nearly caught right on the line. Checkered flag out to tremendous applause. Willie Green, of course, deserved the win, but he was very nearly jumped at the finish. Good third place for Jones and Amy, and David Piper heroically fourth by himself in his 917. And so to the main event. The 24 Hours of Le Mans, only a few hours away. It's been raining this morning. All the drivers have lined up for their class of 2003 shot. The drivers are presented to the crowd in a succession of old cars. The Courage Peugeot boys egging them on. And following Audi's 3 wins in a row, the former Le Mans 24-hour trophy is now firmly on the boardroom wall at Audi. That's the new trophy for the winner this year. As ever, a welcome interlude from the Hawaiian Tropic Girls. JJ Leto making some last-minute arrangements with his mechanics. Jan Magnussen gets ready. It's going to be warm inside that Paynos. 1 or 2 last-minute decisions on the grid this year about whether that rain was going to return, but in the end, everyone's opted for dry tyres. The starting driver lineup headed by Rinaldo Capello from Johnny Herbert, Frank Biela, Jan Lammers, Jan Magnussen, JJ Leto, Mark Goosens in the Riley and Scott, Gumindi in the Little Dome Judd, and Jonathan Cochet very quick in the Courage Judd, just in front of Olivier Beretta in the first of the Paynoses. Some good performances down this grid here, particularly in 15th place from the DBA Zytek and the Lola MG just behind, there from the 675 class, and joined as they are by the Courage. Ferrari's quick in GTS, as we know. The balance of the 675 class mixed in with these quick GTS cars. And further down the grid, it's the GT Porsches, quicker largely than all the Ferrari 360 Modenas, the TVRs, the Spiker. And right at the very back, 1 or 2 cars who'd had problems in qualifying, including the Norma and the WR. Only 49 cars on the grid, of course, because the Lister was withdrawn after that practice accident. So, a great race in prospect. 1 minute to go on Saturday afternoon, and Monsieur Poissonneau gets his flag ready to set everyone off on the final warm-up lap. And warm it is inside the cars and out on the track. The sun's been shining all day after heavy rain first thing in the morning. It's going to be a hot start to the 24 Hours of Le Mans 2003. Behind the Chevrolet Corvette pace car, the Bentleys in first and second position, followed by the private Audis and Jan Lammers' Dome looking to make an early impression in the opening laps. A long way up the grid, the GTS Ferraris and Corvettes, and an early problem for the number 25 WR. As they come down towards Indianapolis, everybody weaving to warm their tires up. It was a good performance by the Riley and Scott, which qualified 7th. The 675 cars here mixed in among the GTS class cars as the pace car brings them round to the beginning of the 2003 Le Mans 24 Hours. Any moment now, he'll be away. There he goes, and the flag to be dropped by Dr. Don Paynos from the United States, a huge French tricolor, as the cars accelerate across the line for the first time, with Lammers' black and white checkered dome Judd, as expected, jostling for position with the 3 privateer Audis. Down into the new S's for the first time, the Bentleys are smoothly pulling away a couple of 100 metres immediately from the domes and the Audis, and out onto the long, intimidating Mulsanne Straight for the first time. Pro-drives Ferraris just in front of the 2 Chevrolet Corvettes as the field comes down to the first of the chicanes on the Mulsanne Straight. It's Capello in front of Herbert, followed by the dome and followed by all the Audis in line behind. Always tense, difficult moments at the beginning of the Le Mans 24-hour race. Everybody wants to race, everybody wants to sprint. The team manager's keen to make sure that they rapidly get on to the race pace, which has been dictated after long strategic sessions and planning. The prototypes immediately breaking away from the rest of the field. Behind the Audis, you can see the Riley and Scott, the Paynos, and the Courages. 3 Courages this year, 2 from Pescarolo's team with the Peugeot engine, and 1 with the Judd engine, actually from the Courage factory itself. So it's Dindo Capello in the lead from Johnny Herbert. Dindo wanted pole very badly this year, had it for the last 2 years, but in race results terms, when driving for the Audi Works team, has never won. That's Jan Magnussen in the first of the Audis there, the Audi Team Go Japan car, very keen indeed not to be held up by Lammers, to allow himself to get back and try and chase the Bentleys in the early stage. The feeling among the Audi drivers is that they have to press Bentley and hope for Bentley to make either an error or to show some form of mechanical frailty. But they're not going to do it if they can't get past Lammers, and they have not yet. In line astern there, being chased by the hard-driving Goosens in the Riley and Scott black car there. An enormous crowd here at Le Mans, as always, watching enthralled the opening stages of the 2003 Le Mans. It's estimated the crowd is over 250,000, and there's a huge British support for these cars, the dark green Bentleys. And here's Oliver Gavin in number 50 Chevrolet Corvette in the pits very early on, not the start, the Works Corvette team, winners here in their GTS class for the last 2 years, and now he stalls pulling away after what's clearly been an early problem. One of the great battles of the race is expected to be between the GTS Ferraris and Corvettes. So the Audi pursuit gets underway. Frank Biela, 3-time winner, in the Audi UK car, which he'll be sharing with Mika Salo and Perry McCarthy. And this is the unusual rear end of the Pagani Zonda with its Mercedes V12 engine. They've had a troubled practice and immediately a troubled race. The untroubled number 53 Corvette is leading the surprise in this class. Behind the 2 pro-drive Ferraris is a 3rd pro-drive built car being run by Luc Alphand Adventures, the famous French downhill skier, being assisted in the early stages of the race by Jérôme Polican, an extremely quick professional driver, but whether his teammates can keep up the pace remains to be seen. Not as quick as had been expected, nor as all the budget indications and the testing had seemed to show, the Pescarolo Courages setting their own pace in the early stages. And a quick regular stop for Canadian Scott Maxwell in the number 12 Paynos, while Jan Magnussen in the Japanese-entered Audi presses on. And there's the Porsche GT class, in line astern, and a quick start also by Lucas Luhr, who's leading that class by just a few hundred yards. The Bentley's very much in among the back markers already. Magnussen driving very hard and lapping very quickly, but the gap is already out at 30 seconds to the second Bentley. Oh, and an early spin there for one of the TVRs. The number 92 car there. That's the car driven by Kane, Jordan and Sugden as Jan Lammers pulls off to his second stint after a rapid pit stop. And here we do see what we were expecting to see, which is the Velox ProDrive Ferraris against the Works Corvettes. But of course that number 50 car has already lost time, as we saw earlier on with its early problems. These two cars really are quite evenly matched, but in straight line speed, the Ferraris had it. Last year, their first entry, they did break down and the Corvettes won. There's some expectation of greater reliability this year as Jan Magnussen storms past them and past the Dutch-entered Spiker with its BMW engine. Capello has now pulled out more than a few hundred meters on Johnny Herbert and is driving beautifully. He's just got to look out for the traffic, and for exactly that sort of reason, that's the second TVR. Either went off by himself or was he pushed? And there's damage also to the Spiker. We don't think they were involved. The Spiker's now lost its wheel altogether, right there at the entry to the pit lane. All sorts of dramas for the GT class runners. At the end of 1 hour, the two Bentleys lead the 3 Audis, the 2 Dome Judds and the Riley and Scott. With the Corvettes, let's hear what happened to Oliver Gavin.
Coming down the Mulsanne straight for the first time, the car started to lose power, and after two stops in the pit box here, we found out that it was a loose throttle cable. So we got that fixed, got the car back out. Unfortunately, we'd lost 2 laps, but it's still such a long way to go.
It's always a long way to go at Le Mans, but the truth is that in a battle as close as that GTS Class 1, that early problem could be a very real issue for the Corvette team. Some oil down early on, brave marshals out there right in the middle of the track. They certainly earned their weekend enjoyment at Le Mans. Well, Capello and Herbert now closed right up again past the 675 Reynard with the Volkswagen engine. The Audis battling their way through the 675 class cars. There, that's JJ Leto in the champion car, nipping past the yellow Pilbeam. And a problem here, a problem for Goossens. That's a shame. They had a very strong start. What happened here? Yeah, he locked a brake on the way in. Oh, he may have locked a brake because he already had a puncture there on the left rear. Yes, he does already have a puncture on the left rear. Very lucky to miss the barrier on the approach there to Indianapolis. And now he's got to try and get that car back to the pits. It's a long way from here. We're only halfway around the track. Look at the damage to that rear tire. That is going to do just what it has done. Shred the rear bodywork, electrical problems, all sorts of problems. And a stop for the number 8 Bentley. This is not a routine stop. Something's come out of the inside of the car. A piece of material's just been thrown out of the car. No fuel, no tires, restart, check headlights, and go. Further problems here. That's the second of the 2 Dome Judds, currently being driven by young Tristan Gomendi, the very rapid French Formula 3 driver. And in a slightly less hectic moment, the number 75 Perspective racing car being shared by Michel Neugarten, Nigel Smith and Ian Khan. The number 88 Ferrari leads the class, a position built up by Peter Cox.
I feel a lot better than I look, but because it's hot, I mean, yes, you sweat a lot, but I don't feel drained in the end of the day. I mean, we took it very easy. I must say the car is working beautifully. We don't need to win this race in the first 2 hours, although maybe it seems like, but just take a steady pace. I try to be there tomorrow afternoon.
And here really is drama. This is the Audi UK car, Frank Biela at the wheel, winner the last 3 years, and the marshals are pushing the car. There's clearly some astonishment in their number 10 pit. Everyone at the back looking at the monitors, trying to work out what's going on. They look as though they were ready for a pit stop. They got the tyres out. It couldn't be, could it, thought everyone, that they'd simply run out of fuel. Frank there re-plugging himself in order to talk to his pits. And at the same time, the NASA Max Reynard has got a problem and they're pushed out of the way. After 2 hours then, the story for Audi UK is all too clear. It's now 2 Bentleys from 2 Audis and the third car has gone. There is the Audi UK car being pushed back ironically beneath a British and a German flag, but that car must be out of fuel. Consternation at Audi UK's pit and an awful sinking feeling for the other drivers. Here's Perry McCarthy fearing, I suspect, the worst. And Mika Salo packing his bags.
It's a terrible shame. Terrible. I mean, everybody's a bit down, as you can imagine. But, you know, we have to remember one thing. Mistakes happen. I don't know why this one has occurred. If it's Frank's fault, then it's a bad mistake, but he's a brilliant racing driver. He's a fantastic bloke as well, and people make mistakes, and this is a bad one, but we have to remember that he's a great, great driver.
Generous remarks indeed from Biela's teammate, perhaps not shared by Audi Bentley boss here, Dr. Ulrich.
Ja, das Dumme war, dass ich
The stupid thing was that when I was heading back to the pit at the end of the last lap, I found myself behind one of the Paynoses on the Porsche curves. I tried to pass him on the left, coming out of the Porsche S's, but he just accelerated more quickly than I'd anticipated. And by the time I realised what was going on, I was too far over and didn't have enough time to brake to enter the pit lane to refuel. So I tried to get round the rest of the circuit using the starter motor and by driving slowly, but I just had no chance.
NASA Max's problem, however, is not fuel-related. Their engine had to be replaced after a major ignition problem in the morning warm-up.
We just can't stop breaking our gear selection cables. We've already broken 2 and I got stuck in neutral on the Mulsanne straight. It's very simple. We have to find where the breakdown is happening so the problem goes away. I don't think gear selection cables are usually much of a problem at Le Mans. We have 1 cable left, and if we don't sort it out, it's all over.
Actually, the problem was probably heat damage caused to all the car's ancillaries after that morning warm-up incident. And more incidents there, this time for the WR team, who nearly take both of their cars out of the race. Oh dear, a spin to take out your teammate is never going to be very popular. In the GT class, the number 93 car continues on its steady way. Alex Job Racing, one of the most professional Porsche teams there are. Jean-Marc Gounon dives into the Courage pit, scattering marshals and pressmen. And nearly, as they pull out nearly in front of the race leader. Capello's going to be less than impressed by that. Accidents all over the track. This looks like a dome has tangled with the second of the Corvettes. Neat little spin turn there by Andy Pilgrim, and look, that's what happened. Tapped up the inside, very easy to do. The number 16 dome there, and a number of gestures there about how it might have been a good idea to use your mirrors. And this is a battle for position. Marco Werner's pink helmet with Brabham up the inside to try and retake second position, which he does safely as they come up to the chicane for the Dunlop Bridge. The Bentley did lose quite a bit of time with that unscheduled stop, and as a result of trying to get back round the ProDrive Ferrari, he has to lose position again and is now stuck behind the GTS car. Problems all round. This is the rather slow prototype 900 Norma Ford with a puncher that sends them into the gravel trap. Now that is going to shred gravel all over the chicane and create further problems for everybody else. Werner in. He stays at the wheel, new fuel, new tyres, and out they go again. Also Japanese entered is the number 77 Team Taizan Porsche that's run very well, and Nishizawa's been very quick in his class, running much further up than expected. Last year's winner, the Kevin Buckler Racers Group car, in second position in their class. And class leader in 675 is the Reynard with the Volkswagen engine, not the quickest car in the class, but certainly the one that's run most reliably so far after the troubles to John Nielsen's Zytek engine car and to John Field's Lola MG. And there is the Nasamax car. Ultimately, they really want to finish. Of course, they want to be competitive, but to get to the end really would be quite an achievement. A stop for the Pescarolo car, and this is a problem with the front brakes. They've actually got to change the brake calipers. Sarrazin there waiting patiently in the car, but it took 11 minutes. And this is young Vanina Ix, same colour helmet as her 6-time winning father Jackie Ix, and into the Porsche number 84. And more wild driving by the number 16 Dome there. He's pushed Johnny Molam in the 360 Risi entered Ferrari just clean into the pit lane because he wasn't prepared to give him room to move over. Thundering through the Porsche curves with the big Chevrolet Corvette number 53. But it's a pace car. Chevrolet Corvette also providing the 3 pace cars this year. There's oil on the track and the organisers really want to clean it up. They're unhappy about the amount of oil there is, and a lot of drivers using the opportunity under race control conditions to make a regular stop. Good tactics. The trouble is that at Le Mans there are 3 different pace cars that pick up different sections of the field around the track. There he is just going off the third of the pace cars, but he's been holding up, as we can see here, the number 8 Bentley, second in the line, which means the number 7 car has greatly widened his leading gap over his teammate. Race events influenced there by the pace car. After 4 hours, the order is Bentley, Bentley, Audi, Audi. Still the Dome Judd in 5th, a good performance by the Penozes now, up to 6th. The Pescarolo cars still not really making an impression on that top 6, but a nice onboard shot there as he comes up to lap the Velox ProDrive 550 Maranello. You can see the extent to which the Pescarolo Courage Peugeots are short on engine grunt in a straight line. It took some time to get past the Ferrari. In the Audi Japan pit, Seiji Ara takes over from Marco Werner, who's driven a long and very competitive stint. Oh, but there's a need to change the nose. There's something that they need to do, and that was clearly unexpected. New nose on, Ara sits patiently in the car. And a regular stop for the number 88 GTS class-leading Ferrari. Still having trouble getting the front nose section onto the Japanese Audi, but at last he's away. But you can't afford to lose 2 or 3 minutes like that. Ara has now got to carve his way back through the field. Everyone flashing their lights at everybody else while they go through their own particular battles. Ara has now got quite a lot of Le Mans experience, and he's always been very quick. So 4.5 hours into the race, the lead Bentley's done 73 laps, but the damage of the pace car to the number 8 Bentley, now 1.5 minutes behind, is clear. In the champion Audi pit, Johansson hands over to Pirro, and we hear from JJ Leto, the third driver.
It was normal routine. It was nothing special. We knew that Bentley is going to be faster, so why to bother with that one? You know, we're just trying to keep our own pace, do long stints, and try to be reliable and stay on the track as long as we can.
And they shouldn't have too much trouble doing that, as Emanuele Pirro sets off again from the pit lane. Pirro, Johansson and Leto, all ex-Grand Prix drivers, all ex-Le Mans winners, a formidable team. In the GTS class, the two Velox ProDrive Ferraris, cars number 80 and 88, are very much dominating, and the Chevrolets not really offering the threat that was expected. Pirro had been lapping extremely quickly at the start of his stint and was certainly going to have no trouble catching up the number 5 car. In the 675 class, the number 26 John Nielsen driven and entered and owned DBA Zytek had been running very quickly, but they'd had a lot of problems early on. In the GTS class, the Salines had not really been as competitive as expected. And in the 675 class, steady as she goes, allowed Marie Laribière to have kept his position and allow Pillon back into the car. A little further down the pit lane, Jamie Davis gets out and Peter Cox gets into the leading Ferrari in the GTS class. And in the Reynard Volkswagen pit, we hear from Marie Laribière.
The car's very nice to drive. It really doesn't give you any problems. The track's getting pretty dirty now, but basically things are going well. We're keeping to our pre-race plan, and if we can stay on top of things until tomorrow, it will be perfect. We're just checking something. The telemetry showed there was overheating somewhere, but it doesn't seem to be serious. We're second at the moment, but hopefully we can regain the lead and keep it.
In that 675 class, the Lola MG has caught up from its earlier troubles and by virtue of being so much quicker than everyone else, has taken the lead. And a brave effort here by John Hugenholtz, who is actually pushing the Spiker back into the pit lane to a sympathetic round of applause from the crowd. What should be a regular stop for Seiji Aro, and a drink for the driver as well as for the car. But further problems with the front end of the car. They've had the nose off before on this car. And it's unclear, and I think they're unclear themselves as to exactly what the issue is. And another spin and a problem for the number 25 WR. That's De Forno, who seems to have specialised in a number of rotations. Tête à queue in French. And starts again only just being avoided by the Yes Network Porsche, while the leaders on their relentless way as dusk begins to fall at Le Mans. The gap between the two Bentleys has closed a little bit. The number 8 car's been lapping very quickly, a little quicker than their race leaders, but it's not yet developed into a battle for the lead. Glorious sunset over the south. Oh, and a fine position to watch the motor race from a very relaxed spectator. The number 93 Alex Job racing car leads the GT class quite easily. Aida brings in the car that he's driven so effectively with Nishizawa, and there's a problem here for the Works Courage Judd, who's tried to set off down the pit lane without the electrics properly on, no headlights. The mechanic appeared to have been working on the car while being pushed back down the pit lane, but Jonathan Cochet isn't going to object. He gets it all fired up, back onto the rev limiter. Lots of black streaks down the pit lane. Being a Formula 3 driver, and this is one of the Paynoses, That Cochet Courage Judd has been in a very tight battle with the number 11 Paynos. That's the second car being driven there by David Salines. And what was the class-leading 675 Lola MG John Field's car is comprehensively dumped into the gravel trap and to be hauled out. A very troubled Le Mans 2003 for the Mugen engine Dome. But some of the pit crew get a chance to relax. Just one problem after another for the number 9 car. Not so for the number 7 Bentley. That's Guy Smith clambering out of the very cramped and very hot cockpit. Capello gets in. Guy Smith tells us what it's been like.
It's pretty hot in the car. We don't notice the heat too much while we're driving. It's more when we stop, so I think we should be okay. We we're doing triple stints now. The tyres look good and we feel okay, so.
The young Yorkshireman richly deserves this chance to be leading Le Mans. He took the whole of last year out just testing the car, didn't race, and this is his reward, a run in the leading car. Meanwhile, in a star-packed Courage JPX pit, we see Frank Leboeuf, the French football star, watching his mate David Hallyday, the pop singer, get ready for another stint in a much-delayed car. Fireworks and nighttime entertainment. Always plenty for the spectator to do as it gets dark at Le Mans. And that's the number 66 Celine, driven there by Walter Brune, who first raced here 32 years ago, who's had an off, but he'll soon be back on track, while Henri Pescarolo waits for his driver Frank Lagorce to come in for a regulation pit stop. It's not just the cars that get taken care of at Le Mans. When a driver finishes his stint within the Pescarolo Sport team, the masseur takes over.
They're still mentally focused on the race, so you have to let them talk things through with their engineers. And I usually allow 5 minutes for this. After that, I take over. I make sure they eat, take a shower, and then get some massage. But you have to do this discreetly, so that they feel that they're really making the decisions.
It seems the drivers like to be in the driving seat, even when they're out of the car, but keeping the talent happy is all important in an endurance race. Lagorce has got no complaints.
Alex, pour moi, c'est une priorité parce que.
After I've done a stint, getting some treatment from Alex is a priority for me. We've known each other for about 10 years now, which is important. He knows what shape I'm in, and how I react physically and psychologically. That we get on so well is a big advantage.
But that is David Hallyday in the 675 class Courage, and he's off and in the gravel, sent on his way by the marshals. More of a regular stop for the number 92 TVR while they take on board more carbon fuel. But up at the other end of the pit lane, the number 14 car comes in. Now remember, they are running with no equivalence on the fuels to the regular cars because of the lower amount of energy per litre in bioethanol compared to gasoline. They just have to make more pit stops. They hope that next year the ACO will allow them a larger tank or revise the formula for this sort of experimentally engined entry. Of course, the Nasamax team also had to be treated a little differently to everybody else because the organisers deliver fuel direct to each pit, but they obviously had to provide their own. Oh dear, there's the 21 Norma Ford disgracing itself by pouring oil all over the pit lane. So after 9 hours of racing, the number 7 Bentley leads the number 8 car by a whole lap, with Audi number 6 in front of the Audi Japan car number 5. The Dome Judd still in front of the very rapid Olivier Beretta, who we see coming in here for a pit stop to hand over to Max Papis. Beretta had had a very alarming time on the Mulsanne straight. And that, of course, is one place where you really don't need to have that sort of problem.
I was heading down the middle of the Mulsanne straight at over 310 kilometers an hour when a tyre exploded and the car veered to the left and to the right, left then right. Fortunately, the car's in one piece and we can carry on with the race.
You can see from the look on Olivier's face that racing at Le Mans is no easy ride. Now, a problem here for the GT class leading Alex Job racing car of Lucas Lure, Sacha Marson and Emmanuel Collard. And in fact, they were to lose 22 minutes in the pit on this problem, which lost them the lead of the class. But all the Porsches are having trouble. That's the PK sport car, been driven very rapidly by Robin Liddell, but had an accident and there's some work to do now. And just a hint of cloud passing across a French moon. And a new fastest lap here from the Bentley number 7, being driven at the moment by Capello, who did a 3:36. Those who've retired include the Pagani, the TVR, the Pilbeam, the Celine, the Lola MG, and the oil-producing Norma Ford, as well, of course, as the embarrassing fuel-less retirement of the Audi UK car. Mauri Laribière there, slowing up his teammates' best efforts by having another spin. But no real problems in the GTS Ferrari pit.
We had to change an engine in the 88 car this morning because we weren't that happy with the engine we put in for the race, so that was a minor concern. And in the race, one of the cars is using a little oil and the other is using a little water, but aside from that, they're running like clockwork.
And using rather a lot more oil than the ProDrive Ferraris is Brière's WR prototype, and rather selfishly sticking on the racing line and throwing all that oil out of the back of the car, making the track very slippery indeed. Behind the Bentleys and the Audis, there were all sorts of battles going on in the LMP 900 prototype class, and here's Scott Maxwell in the number 12 Paynas holding off Sohail Ahari in the Courage Peugeot. All getting a bit fraught there in the GTS class with the GTS race leader, now with Thomas Enger at the wheel, trying to get past the number 72 Luc Alphon car. Problems for the Japanese Team Go Audi car there with the fuel injection unit, which cost them about 6 minutes. In the GT class, the number 93 car back on track now. Sacha Marson gets out, Emmanuel Collard gets in. Overall then, after 12 hours, Bentley, Audi, and the Dome Paynas Courage battle getting very strong. The Riley and Scott still running after some troubles, but the GTS leading Ferraris already up to 12th place overall, and in the 675 class, the Reynard Lehmann in 17th place overall. Jamie Davis takes the class-leading GTS number 88 car back out again. And problems for Bentley, problems with the battery for the number 8 Bentley. There's a change needed here.
Unfortunately, we got a battery problem, low voltage, and I've got information in the car telling me there's low voltage, but then no radio, so I couldn't inform the team. Triple stinting is quite tough in that car because very small cockpit and not a lot of airflow, but you know, we've got to do it and we've got to try and make it work. Just unfortunate about that because that's really cost us a lot of time.
Now, it did cost Mark and his co-drivers David Brabham and Johnny Herbert some time. In fact, so much so that the champion Audi number 6 has closed to within just 2 minutes of the number 8 Bentley. Emanuele Pirro staying at the wheel, but they've got a problem as well, and that means that they're going to have to get back out onto the track in a second or two. The reason for backing into the garage for work is you can have more men working on the car than you can in the pit lane. Problems continue for the Corvette, this time no ability to shut the door without some sticky tape. The Racers Group Porsche, Kevin Buckler, puts himself into the gravel trap momentarily. And Nicolas Manassia making his return to Le Mans, pressing hard in 8th position, but still just not quick enough to get up there among those who are fighting for top 6 positions. Jan Lammers is quick enough, and his battle with the number 11 Pénaus continues unabated, joined as they are by Gounod's Courage with the Judd engine. Confirmation from the local paper as to how much Bentley are dominating this race. In the GT class, the battle continues very closely, with the Alex Job car now only leading the Orbit racing car for a matter of some 13.5 seconds. During the night, the 360 Maranellos had threatened a little, but they've had various mechanical problems, and this is the last one remaining. Brabham carving his way through the field there, but he's still a whole lap behind after 16 hours of racing the number 7 Bentley. The champion car leads the Japanese car, and the battle continues further down the LMP 900 class. David Brabham very keen to win here. His elder brother Jeff won here some time ago, and he wants one on the family trophy cabinet as well. Jan Lammers, very unlike him to have had a spin there, just come in a little wide into the fast right-hander before Indianapolis, taken him onto the gravel, given himself a puncher, cause or effect, you're never quite sure. And also now the number 11, that's Gunnar Jeanette in the Pénaus Elan. He's just gone straight on in at Arnage, but it doesn't look as though he's done too much damage to the car. Yes, in the end, quite a slow little impact, so he's got to get back round, and so's Jan Lammers. John Bosch waits for him to return. The third driver, of course, is the extremely experienced Andy Wallace. They've got to get that car back, and all this gives the Courage Peugeots some hope of catching up. They've had a relatively untroubled time, but if Lammers is in the gravel, the Pénaus is in the wall, maybe they'll get to close down a little bit. Christensen leads, but what was it like for Dindo Capello?
The last session was very good. I did 4 stints, 52 laps. It's a little bit too much. I feel very tired at the moment, but the tires were fantastic from the beginning to the end, and it made no sense to change after 3 stints because I could still push. Everything was under control, and I'm very happy about the choice we did to stay in the car for the 4th stint.
Hard work, but very successful for Capello, but not so down in the Corvette pit. More problems.
Well, what it is, it's a bearing on the front of the transmission that went out. It became very loud. It was on my end lap, and we were lucky to just get in. And in order to replace it, we have to replace the whole gearbox. So that'll take about 12 minutes.
Gearbox bearing failure on the Corvette, but a more serious bearing failure on the wheel of the number 80 550 ProDrive Ferrari had caused Davidson to have a big accident.
Yeah, Anthony's okay. He's had a bit of a nasty knock on the head from the car going in sideways and bashing either the seat or the roll cage with his crash hat. But he's okay. He's in good spirits. He's gone to Le Mans Hospital for a scan just to be double safe. But we were even having a bit of a laugh and a joke in the medical centre this morning. So I think he should be fine.
Good to know that young Davidson wasn't severely hurt. After nearly 3/4 of the race gone, Bentley leads Bentley from the Audi in the Audi, but the battle is between numbers 15, 11, 13, and with occasional interventions by the Courage Peugeots. The second of the Pénaus has got a problem here. This is David Salins at the wheel. The whole rim tyre has come right off the rim, and he's got no option but to plunge straight through the gravel on the Mulsanne chicanes. Avoids the tyre barrier, and he's got to see if he can get the car the whole way round the rest of the lap now. But in fact, there's so much rubbish on the track that poor David loses it completely, and sadly, after a great run, he's off into the barrier unhurt, but there at the side of the track, frustrated and out of the race. And in what will be the last year of the 675 prototype class at Le Mans, the Reynard Lehman still leads by miles from here, the DBA Zytek. Elgaard takes the car out. Well, that's it for the NASA effort, following an engine explosion and a fire. John McNeil looks back over the weekend.
We had a big drama in the warm-up this morning where there was really a ridiculously simple problem with the electronics on the engine, but it caused an enormous amount of damage, and we ended up playing catch-up all day.
NASA happily will be returning to Le Mans next year. In essence, their goal, to raise awareness of the alternatives to fossil fuels, has been achieved.
We had no trouble with the refueling. We had no trouble. It's not a fuel-related issue, that's for sure. But engines often do go bang at Le Mans on the best of cars. No, it's been a success in so many ways. It's just disappointing to finish so early, really.
But it's Team NASA who received the ACO's Communications Award. Janice Minton accepts from President Michel Cosson. Well, renewable fuels have made their debut at Le Mans. And here's a little bit of interest here, as the number 8 Bentley, very keen indeed to unlap themselves at least once. Johnny Herbert dives by the inside of the leader. A little bit of excitement out there on the track between the two extremely dominant dark green cars. More work for the class-leading number 93 Porsche. They don't want to lose too much time here because it's all getting a bit tight at the top. They're just in front of the 87 Orbit car. Here they are, sponsored by the Yes Network and the New York Yankees. And they're very keen indeed that they should get round before the number 93 car gets out of the pits. Problems also for Andy Wallace, Jan Lammers and John Bosch in the number 15 Dome Judd. But this is a car really making the running at the moment. Jean-Marc Gounon, very rapid, unexpectedly called up to the squad at the last minute, and he's just lost his place now as Beretta slams past the pits in the number 11 Paynos. Ironically, after the Alex Job car's troubles, now we've got troubles for the Orbit Porsche. Le Mans is a race of ups and downs. Time gained on the track, lost in the pits. And this is now the battle of the race here. Beretta being refueled in the Paynos pit, and now this time the Courage Judd goes past while they're in. Jonathan Cochet now at the wheel of the number 13 car, now up in 5th place. So Bentley, Audi, and then this battle between the Courage and the Paynos with the Dome in there as well. But we've got a pace car again, and this time it's because there are shards of carbon fibre, very sharp, very dangerous, could cause punctures all over the track here. The marshals have got to tidy it up, and the cause is our errant friends Gabbiani, Gomendi and Ortiz in the number 16 Dome Judd. But back to racing again quite quickly, and Beretta driving heroically and determined to get past. It's very tight indeed. They nearly touched each other then, coming into the S's. And now out on the Mulsanne straight. Beretta a little bit, whoa, very close indeed. And one move only in Formula One you're allowed, but no such rule at Le Mans. Elegant team formations here with two of the Courages with the Peugeot engines in front of the two Works Corvettes. The two Corvettes are actually battling for position on the track after their various delays, still running second and third in GTS to this car, the number 88 Cox Enger Davis car. But there's a big problem for the GT class number 99 Ferrari 550. Fire at the side of the track, and that brings out the pace car one more time. As a result of the pace car, you can get held in the pit. Very frustrating, but you've got to wait till the pace car goes past before you can join in again. Beretta and Cochet still at it. That's the kink on the Mulsanne straight. That's a very brave place indeed to overtake. They're well over 200 miles an hour at that point. Corvettes, second and third in class, with the Vipers and the Salines beginning to make an appearance after everybody else's troubles. And in the GT class, the 93 car has now, though running behind the Orbit Porsche 87 car on track, has now got a 4-lap lead after a very long and frustrating stop for the number 87 car. Capello and Christensen compare notes while Guy Smith carries on the good work. But there's another issue and another delay for the number 8 Bentley. It's just small, but it's all built up since the very beginning of the race, allowing them to extend that 2-lap lead for Christensen, Capello and Smith. And another problem here for the second, that's the number 16 Dome again, and this is going to be a very bad place to go off. The car nearly flips. He's gone down the escape road. That is a very big hit. And Tristan Gomendy, I cannot think what he's trying to do, getting back to the pits with the car in that shape. He's going far too quickly. He's endangering himself and the other competitors out on the track. Oh, Jean-Marc Gounod, that is no place to try and outbrake a car the size of the Paynos. Young Gunnar Jeanette, the 21-year-old lad from Florida, has taken over from Olivier Beretta, and he's going to be allowed to race the Paynos to the end up against the wiles and skill of ex-F1 driver Jean-Marc Gounod in the number 13 Courage. Not long to go now for the number 7 Bentley, with Guy Smith at the wheel. The British throng assemble opposite the Bentley pit. Emanuele Pirro wants to run just behind him if he possibly can. It's been a great effort for them to be best of the privateer Audis. He's up in third place, of course. Not long to go at all now, and that is the trumpet sound, the flags wave, as Bentley achieves what they set out to do 3 years ago, and on their third attempt, they see the checkered flag is dropped for Bentley's historic win at Le Mans. Great return to this great race, has achieved everything they could have wished for, and a great drive by all 3 drivers, and a huge honour for Smith to take the car across the line. Derek Bell there, the team coach, 5 times the winner himself, congratulates Tom Christensen, who's become only the 2nd man ever to win Le Mans 5 times. Jeanette wins the great battle for 5th place. A great effort by him in the Paynos. And just behind him, the Dome Judd gets the 6th place. The Corvettes achieve a formation finish, but 2nd and 3rd is not what they were hoping for. Great GTS victory for the Velox ProDrive Maranello Ferrari. And from further back round the track, David Brabham brings the number 8 Bentley across into 2nd place, and a very hot Courage Peugeot finally expires on the finishing straight. A touching moment then, as 5 times winner Christensen gets greeted by his 4-year-old boy. And so, in the class-by-class results, Audi, of course, are 1st and 2nd in the LMP 900, and Paynos is 3rd. Great result from the Domes, and then all the Courages, and the little Durango getting up to 9th place, but a long way behind. Bentleys, of course, have their own class, the LM GTP, but 377 laps is very impressive indeed. 2 laps clear of their teammate. In the 675s, it was really a struggle to the finish for everybody, but the Reynard Lehman, 319 laps, a clear winner. As was the Ferrari, 336 laps. They did 10 more than the Corvette. Chrysler now a little long in the tooth, the Viper, but 4th in class will suffice for the moment. And in the GT class, Porsche's first to sixth, with an excellent victory for Lucas Lohr Seschermassen and Emmanuel Collard. But overall, no doubt about it at all, Tom Christensen, a five-time winner.
Your pace is dictated by our sister car because they were our closest competitor all the way. And we were able to extend that. They had a few early problems, and then during the night we were very fast. And then we did some more stints than them in the morning. We made 4 stints and we extended the lead. So no, that makes you feel good and makes you feel comfortable.
Tom Christensen, 5 times a winner, comfortable indeed, along with Dindo Capello and Guy Smith. The crowd gave them a tremendous reception, everybody on the pit straight. Up goes the brand new trophy. Bentley had done what they set out to do 3 years ago. And on the GTS podium, Velox ProDrive Ferrari had a great win. Well done Davies, Enger and Peter Cox. On the Monday morning after the Le Mans victory, Bentley continued their celebrations in the middle of Paris, driving the race-winning number 7 car, followed by 2 of the great cars from the 1920s, down the Champs-Élysées and past the Arc de Triomphe. Christensen, Smith and Capello waving to an astonished crowd. We hope you've enjoyed Le Mans 2003. Join us again next year.
Bentley boys, Bentley boys.